Warning. This video and all other videos on this channel are for entertainment purposes only. The content of this video and all other videos on this channel are the opinions of the creator only and do not constitute legal, trading, investment, or financial advice of any kind. Investing carries a high level of risk and the majority of retail clients lose money. Do not invest any capital unless you understand the risks and you are prepared to lose it all. All right, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel and welcome to the week. Welcome to Monday. Now, needless to say, some things have taken place and I'm sure you're probably aware of these things by now, but it might come as a bit of a surprise to you that I actually don't really want to talk about this. Now, I understand that I can't just pretend like this didn't happen. I can't not cover it at all. But I honestly think that whilst I'm going to touch on this very lightly today, I think this would be better off saved for the What podcast with CPM and Cobra Stacker, assuming they are okay with talking about it. If they're not, that's absolutely fine, and I can make some content on it when I'm a bit more prepared. But I think, first of all, I'm not actually spiritually ready to deal with this just yet. And the reason I say that is this really caught me off guard. It really put into perspective just how real this next 6 months is going to be. And I really want to, before I talk about something so big, something so important as this, I really want to make sure that I've spent enough time internalizing it, processing it, really make sure that when I do speak on this, I give you the truest, most authentic version. I want to be able to say things that I can stand behind with 100% conviction, because people misquote me all the time, and they misquote me on things that frankly don't matter at all, right? Just to give you an example, a couple of days ago, I posted something on Twitter where I said, if we set a third angle for Bitcoin, then we might be expecting around 4% a day based on me playing around with a compound interest calculator. And I said that if that was to play out, then it would take Bitcoin from 58k to 228k, I think it was, in about 8 weeks. And immediately people started quoting this and saying, this is peak delusion. How can this guy be calling? How can this guy be predicting 228k Bitcoin? When really I didn't say anything like that. I said, if a third angle comes in and if we average 4% a day, and if that lasts 8 weeks, then we might end up at 228k. So anyway, the point of all of this is people are very quick to misquote me. People are very quick to say left translated cycle is invalidated, bro, but they don't even know left translation could be any time before November, and we won't know for sure until we've seen the ultimate high and then entered a bear market. But like I said, people misquote me all the time and stuff like that, and it doesn't matter, right? Because the people that know, and the people that don't, well, they're not going to be here that long anyway. But when it comes to this kind of matter, like I said, I just want to take some time. I just want to be really sure that I've thought long and hard about it. And I also think it will be better saved for the What podcast, because it will give people the opportunity, one, to have a much longer form conversation. You know, those podcasts are about 2 hours, and also it will give the opportunity to get more than one perspective. If I say something, it will give Cobra or CPM or whoever else is there a chance to interject and say, whoa, I don't agree with that. What about this? Have you considered that? I just think it'd be way better dealt with in a long format podcast. The reason I said this thing caught me off guard is because all year I have been kind of joking. I've been kind of messing around, right? I've been saying it's a wild time to be alive and we've seen nothing yet. The only thing I know for sure is that things are going to get really, really, really insane the later in the year we get. I've been talking about it a lot, that we should expect by the time we get to the Olympics at the end of this month and into August, that's when things should start to get really, really insane. And I know a bunch of you are probably a bit disappointed with this because there's a whole heap of stuff that would be easy to point at, easy to speculate on, easy to put that tinfoil hat on so tight it squeezes my eyeballs out the front of my face. But again, I just want to take a little bit of time to really process this, because whilst I've been making these jokes all the time, also I've been sort of saying, you know, these are the kind of things that we expect to see, right? And that's why it's gotten so much attention lately, because people have said, well, how, you know, is this the start of this? And I think rather than focus on the details, rather than point at things and make speculations and accusations and that kind of thing, I think let's not get distracted with the details at the moment. And let's keep in mind that whilst I did not have this on my bingo card, okay, it doesn't really change much. Okay, all of the things that we're expecting to see starting around the Olympics are probably still going to be seen. Now, the reason I said this was sobering is because, as I was saying, I've been making jokes about this all year. I've been making jokes about this since even last year, I think. And this whole event over the weekend really made me realize that this isn't really a joke anymore. Okay, we've actually arrived at the July timeframe. This stuff is almost certainly going to play out. And I wonder if what we've just seen is the catalyst or the initial push of the snowball down the hill, which of course will just continue to get bigger and bigger and gain more and more momentum before ultimately it reaches a peak and then dissipates, similar to the events of the last 4 years. So I'm sorry to disappoint you if if you were hoping I was going to come on here and really tear this thing apart and make a bunch of sweeping statements. But like I said, I just want to take a few more days to really sort of process this, make sure that when I do speak on it, I give a complete, authentic truth and perspective. And in the meantime, I think the best thing to do is not get too focused on getting distracted by the details and making guesses or speculations, and instead just focus on the job at hand. A lot of people were asking me, is this going to be the catalyst for the third angle? And again, I am here to tell you, I don't think anything really changes, okay? So far, Bitcoin is getting a bit of a squeeze to the upside. We've seen a whole heap of shorts liquidated. There's probably a bunch more to come. When I said things haven't really changed, a while ago I was talking about how are we going to see a Dalai Lama. Of course, the first one failed, and I said, well, what if the second one holds? Maybe it's the second one, that will be the weekly cycle low. And of course, so far, the second one is holding and looking stronger and stronger. We have also confirmed a daily and a weekly cycle. And therefore, seeing something like this, where we waddle our way up to the prior all-time high, do some chopping, and then set a third and final angle thereafter, I think is still on the table. And again, every dip has its narrative. We can always point at things like this and say, well, that's the catalyst, okay? Without that, we couldn't have got the third angle or whatever. But the reality is, it's always in the charts before it's in the news. And if it wasn't this event that ignited that weekly cycle low and a move higher, it would have been something else, okay? Markets always append a narrative to these cycle lows. Every dip has its narrative. Every cycle low, we say the same things, right? They serve to reset and flush the sentiment before finding a narrative to blame. And then, of course, when it starts to squeeze to the upside, people go, oh, well, that is because of X, Y, or Z catalyst. But ultimately, as I always say, the cycles are in control. Everything else is along for the ride. And really, is anything super different right now? No. Does it mean that we are 100% guaranteed to be doing something like this and about to set a third angle? Of course not. Okay, it's still a market. Anything can happen at any time. If we lose the second angle now, having sort of tested it, chopped it, and we do this and fail that daily and weekly cycle, then we've got a real issue, okay? We've got a real, very, very bearish setup. The trend lines always function as warning signs for me, but the cycles are king. If I pull up my Bitcoin chart, you can see we have recovered the second angle, okay? So that's not nothing. We've also broken out the downward sloping red resistance line. I put a position on Bitcoin over the weekend. I notified the level 3 members in real time. As I said, now that we've chopped this line, and we've got a daily and a weekly cycle low in, we really have no excuse not to come swinging out of here. And if we don't, if we were to roll over from here, if we were to get below this trend line and most importantly fail that daily and weekly cycle, then we have got a full weekly cycle with bearish implications. That is not a good look by any stretch of the imagination. Of course, it's also possible that Bob Lucas's idea that we come out of here, do something like this, okay, then roll over one more time before ultimately turning up and looking for that right translated cycle. That's also on the table. It's still a market. Anything and everything is possible. But for now, at least, we've got our third position on. We know our major invalidation level, that daily and weekly cycle low. And all the while we're above it, then I remain cautiously optimistic as always. As I've been saying over and over again, we are still kind of hoping and expecting to see that third and final angle come in, something akin to this. And as ever, we just have to keep taking it one day at a time and seeing what the market will give. For now, long and strong. And potentially, if you're a level 3 member, I could see myself adding some crypto-related equities once the market opens, so look out for some of those. The dollar looks to me for the first time, particularly if it can take out this prior daily cycle low, that we might have a shot at a decline into a late but still legal and qualifying 3-year cycle low. Of course, if we do get a big Dixie decline here, then that could speak to seeing that third and final angle come in for Bitcoin, as well as seeing the stock market complete its third and final blow off top angle. The bond yields are still looking weak, still telling us to expect some cuts in the not too distant future. I kind of like what I'm seeing out of the precious metal markets. We are hoping in the member section to get a rejection here and find a weekly cycle low slightly later in life. That'll give us the best probability setup to get behind. But if we get some consolidation and a push, then at least we've got a chart on the area to manage the risk around. So I'm keeping an eye on that this week. And of course, the stock market, open to seeing this thing move higher, but also aware that in the last week of this month, we've got a daily cycle low decline coming up. So that could be the top, and we're about to find the daily cycle low and then go. If that's the case, we'll be looking for the third and final angle to come out of there. If this thing somehow holds and declines into that daily cycle low above this angle, then we may even be looking for a fourth thereafter. So despite all the narrative out there, despite the insanity that is going on, despite the fact I am sure we're going to continue to see more and more insanity play out, as we look at the charts, as we look at the cycles as our guide, you can see that really nothing has changed. Okay, I'm still saying the exact same things as I was before. I think a lot of people are going to start to pivot their stance from bearish to bullish bias now. I think a lot of those people that were doubting the idea a third angle could come in or a left translated cycle might be still on the table. I think a lot of those people are going to return and start saying, yeah, this was my base case all along, right? That's tends to be what they do. But as I said, we've got to keep taking this thing one day at a time. I do want to be on high alert as we start to find these next daily cycle lows for the stock market, because in the best case scenario, this thing's going to keep running. But in the worst case scenario, we're going to be after entertaining major tops in the not too distant future. So I still think there's a lot of opportunity. I still think there's some squeezes to catch in the crypto related equities. I still think we're probably going to see Bitcoin climb a lot higher. But as ever, we have to keep taking this thing one day at a time. So a wild time to be alive indeed. I'll have a word with CPM and Cobra, and if there is a What podcast coming up, of course, I will let you know about that, and we'll do the whole events of the weekend in full detail. Like I said, for now though, I don't think it's a productive use of time or energy to be trying to hash out all the details and and be a Sherlock Holmes investigator on this whole thing. I think the best thing to do is to kind of stay out of the way of it, focus on the markets, understand that nothing is really out of the ordinary pertaining to the charts and the base case hypothesis, as well as the esoteric stuff that we're expecting to unfold over the next 6 months. So other than that, welcome to the week. Welcome to Monday. I hope you're doing well in life. And until next time, take care from me. All the best. Cheers. Bye.